everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Rhiannon and today I'm giving you my January book haul. I didn't think that I'd bought that many books in January, but it turns out that I went completely overboard. I have 25 books to show you guys today, and I genuinely don't know how that has happened. Before we dive into the video though, I do just want to quickly mention that I am filming this straight after work. It's currently about 4:30 in the afternoon, and I predict that the lighting in this video is going to change, so I'm very sorry about that, but this is the only time I could film this during the week and get it up by the weekend for you, so I'm really hoping that's okay. Another thing I do just want to apologise for is my voice. You guys can probably tell that I am full of cold right now. I'm not feeling the best, but hopefully my energy in this video will stay on a high as I talk about the books that I'm excited for. So those are just some things that I wanted to get out of the way before we dive in. I really hope you guys enjoy this video nonetheless, and as I mentioned, I cannot wait to talk about all these books with you, so without further ado, let's just dive in. I have decided that I'm going to be splitting this video up into 3 categories, mainly because those are the 3 main categories that these books fit into. The first one is going to be fantasy, and that will include young adult and adult books. Then we will have murder mystery books, which again will include adult and young adult books. And then the last section I'm going to dedicate towards middle grade books. And kicking off this video, we have a very exciting book, which is Blood Scion by Deborah Falaye. This is actually an advanced reader copy, otherwise known as ARC, and this was very kindly sent to me early from Harper 360 YA, so thank you so much to them for sending me this book. This sounds absolutely incredible, and I really do want to do this book justice, so I am going to read you the back of this one. It does just say, "This is what they deserve. They wanted me to be a monster. I will be the worst monster they ever created." Following one girl's journey of magic, injustice, power and revenge, this emotionally charged debut from Deborah Falaye, inspired by Yoruba Nigerian mythology, will utterly thrill and capture fans of Children of Blood and Bone and An Ember in the Ashes. Now, I haven't read any of the books in the An Ember in the Ashes series yet, but I have read Children of Blood and Bone and I absolutely loved it. So if this is anything like it or in the same vein, I'm sure to love this one as well. The release date for this book is the 8th of March 2022, so I really do need to sit down and read this one. I cannot wait to do so, and I will of course give you guys a review once I have. Next up, I have some books that I've been thinking of buying for a while now, and one day I was browsing on the Works website. If you guys don't know, the Works is a kind of craft and bookstore here in the UK. It normally has quite cheap items in store, but stock does tend to sort of come and go very quickly, and on there I stumbled upon a series. Now, I believe that there are 4 books in this series, but I only have here 3 to show you because these were the only 3 available on the website, and they were in a 3 for £5 deal, so I got these 3 books for £5, which I cannot believe. But the books I have to show you are Graceling, Fire and Bitter Blue, all by Kristen Kishore. I'm honestly blown away that I found these, you guys. I feel like this is such a staple in the book community. I feel like everyone that I've heard talk about this series has absolutely loved it, and you guys know that I'm a massive lover of fantasy. The majority of the books I read are fantasy, and I'm ashamed to say that I have not read this series yet, so for £5 I decided I had to snatch them up. Just for your information as well, I did post about this deal on my Instagram stories, so whenever I find a deal I do try to share it on one of my social media platforms, mainly Instagram and Twitter. So if you would like to make sure that you don't miss out on any deals such as this one, please do make sure to follow me on both Instagram and Twitter. My handle is @welshreader on both, and they are always linked in the description box, so I did just want to throw that in there because I did share these on my social media and a few of you did message me to say thank you and to say that you bought them, which is great. I honestly have no idea what these books are about. I don't really want to know anything. I think this is a series that I'm just going to dive into without really knowing anything. I do really want to film my experience reading these books as well, so please do let me know down below if you would like to see that. Also, let me know if I should buy the last book in this series. I can't quite remember what it's called off the top of my head, but as I mentioned, this is a 4-book series as of now, so definitely let me know if I should buy that one and read this as a quartet. But I do plan on reading this trilogy soon and vlogging it, so definitely keep an eye out on my channel for that. The next book I have to talk about is Dragon Haven by Robin Hobb. I feel like you guys expect to see one of Robin Hobb's books in every single book haul that I do. She has definitely become a staple for me, and for those of you who are unaware, Robin Hobb is one of my all-time favourite authors. authors. I will just move to the side. You can see here, these are all Robin Hobb books, except for from this point onward. This is the 11th book in the Realm of the Elderling series by her, and it's part of the 4th set of books in this world. I am currently reading Robin Hobb's books as part of Elderling Along, which is a read-along for the Realm of the Elderlings books, hosted by Becca over at Becca and the Books here on YouTube. I feel like I don't really need to go into all that on my channel anymore because, as I mentioned, I talk about it so often. These books feature in almost every single one of my book hauls. I am collecting them as we read them, and I'm just having the best time. Now, I can't tell you anything about this book in particular, unfortunately, because it is the 2nd book in a quartet, and as I mentioned, the quartet is also the 4th set of books in this world. So we are definitely deep into this world by now, and I really don't want to spoil anything. I personally would recommend you start with The Assassin's Apprentice if you wanted to get into this series. I honestly did not think I was going to enjoy that book. I really struggled to get through the start of it, but as soon as I got past the 100-page mark, I was flying through it. I got so involved, and I loved the story and the character development throughout, and each of Robin Hobb's books has just gotten better and better, and you can see by my face that I just absolutely love them and would highly recommend them to everyone. So if you would like to start this journey, I would recommend you start with The Assassin's Apprentice, in which we follow a boy called Fitz who is one day dropped off at the keep by his grandfather because he is actually the bastard-born son of Prince Chivalry, and his maternal family are too poor to keep him, so they send him off to live with his father. Fitz doesn't quite get that life though. He is taken to the stables where his care is entrusted to Burrich, the stable master, and that's how he lives for a few years of his life until one day King Shrewd takes an interest in him, because Fitz is obviously in a peculiar position where he is royalty but he's also not, so in a way he can kind of live both lives, and King Shrewd wants to use this to his advantage and hire Fitz as his personal assassin. Now that's all I'm going to say about that one. I feel like that's definitely enough to suck you in, and as I keep mentioning, I really don't want to spoil anything. But yes, I'm 11 books deep into the series now. I am halfway through the next book as well, which is mind-boggling to me, and it's crazy to think that I'm going to be finishing reading these books this year, because I feel like we've read them now for 2 years and I just can't believe we're coming to a close. So sorry for that long spiel. I bought this one to add to my Robin Hobb collection, and it is a book that I really enjoyed as well. Moving on though, the rest of the fantasy books I'm about to show you are all hardcovers. The first one I'm going to start off with is Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong, which is the sequel to These Violent Delights. I read These Violent Delights last year, I believe, around this time last year, and I really did enjoy it. It was very strange to read because it does revolve around a pandemic sort of thing itself, but the way that it's done is just amazing. It's so creepy, it genuinely makes you feel a bit ill, but I got so invested in all of these characters and I really cannot wait to continue on with their story in this book. I believe that this is also a duology, so this is the last book and I really do need to read it as soon as possible because I am the worst at starting series or duologies or trilogies and just not finishing them out. So this is definitely a high priority for me. This is also a Fairy Loot exclusive edition to match our edition of These Violent Delights, and it is also signed by the author, which I love everything about this book, to be honest with you. The first book though is a kind of Romeo and Juliet retelling. We have two warring gangs living in Shanghai, and essentially it's a kind of street war between both gangs. They both have their territory, and if one of the gang members goes to the other gang's territory, then they can essentially be killed. As I mentioned though, I really enjoyed this book. This one is a lot thicker, so I'm hoping that we see even more character development. I'm excited to see where the plot goes, because I feel like in the first book, yes, we did have a plot, but it was just more setup and character introduction based rather than plot based for me, and I feel like this is going to dive deeper into the actual plot itself, and honestly I cannot wait. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to fit this onto my TBR because I have so many books that I really want to get to right now, but I'm hoping I can do so soon, and I just have a feeling that I'm going to love this book as much as I did the last one. The next book I have to show you is The Christie Affair by Nina de Gramont. This is a weird one in terms of I wasn't sure where to place it. I was going to place it with my murder mysteries, however from what I've read so far it's not really murder mystery based, but this book is essentially a book about Agatha Christie's life. If you don't know who Agatha Christie is, she is a renowned crime author. I absolutely love her books. I do have a collection of them that I am slowly growing, and I just love every single one of her mysteries. She is most famously known for Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile and the ABC Murders, but she has a whole ton of books, and I mean a whole ton, that she has written and published over the years. Something that some of you may not know though is that Agatha Christie herself was part of a mystery. Christie. She actually disappeared for 11 days and no one knows what happened to her during that time. And so what Nina de Gramont has done, she has taken it upon herself to imagine what Agatha Christie could be getting up to and also focusing on the people around her in her life as well. And I will just read you this little snippet because I feel like this is what caught my attention straight away and what drew me into the story. It says, in 1926, Agatha Christie disappeared for 11 days. Only I know the truth of her disappearance. I'm no Hercule Poirot, I'm her husband's mistress. So yeah, the family dynamic in this is crazy. A lot of stuff is going on. I'm currently about 20% of the way through this. I did start reading it on my Kindle because I very kindly received an ARC of this book. However, as you can tell, I haven't finished it before release date, but I did go ahead and buy myself the physical copy of this book. I'm gutted I didn't get the Waterstones exclusive edition. I didn't know that was a thing, but Emily from Emily Kathleen Reads sent me a photo of her copy and it is stunning and I'm so angry, but it's fine. I have the ARC, I have the physical hardcover now, and from what I've read so far, I really do think that I'm going to enjoy this book. Next up, you guys, is one of the most beautiful books I have ever seen, and that book is Pandora by Susan Stokes Chapman. So this is the cover itself, but then look at these stunning stenciled edges. I genuinely cannot stop staring at them, and I'm kind of debating displaying this book like this on my shelf so that you can see the stencil design because I am blown away by it. The end pages of this book are also stunning and it is signed by the author as well, which is such a nice touch. So this is a Waterstones exclusive edition. I honestly have no idea if it's still available to buy, but I'm so glad I got my hands on this. I pre-ordered it months ago because if you guys don't know, I have a massive love for mythology, and so this just sounded right up my street. I will just read you the synopsis for this one because I personally don't really know what it's about. I just knew it revolved around Greek mythology and I was sold. So let's find out together. It says, London 1799. Dora Blake is an aspiring jewellery artist who lives with her uncle in what used to be her parents' famed shop of antiquities. When a mysterious Greek vase is delivered, Dora is intrigued by her uncle's suspicious behaviour and enlists the help of Edward Lawrence, a young antiquarian scholar. Edward sees the ancient vase as a key to unlocking his academic future. Dora sees it as a chance to restore the shop to its former glory and to escape her nefarious uncle. But what Edward discovers about the vase has Dora questioning everything she has believed about her life, her family, and the world as she knows it. As Dora uncovers the truth, she starts to realise that some mysteries are buried and some doors are locked for a reason. This just sounds absolutely amazing, and again, I cannot wait to read it, but I have no idea when I can actually get to it. Definitely a high priority for me. It says here, weaves together ancient Greek myth with suspenseful mystery, which, guys, my top 3 favourite genres are fantasy books, murder mystery books, and Greek mythology retelling books. So this is just going to be perfect for me, and I genuinely cannot wait to dive into this one. Might have to get it onto my March TBR, but yeah. This is one that I'm so excited for. It's a stunning edition and I'm so glad to have it in my collection now. Next up we have the Excalibur Curse by Kirsten White. This is the 3rd book in the Guinevere Deception trilogy by her, and because it is the 3rd book in a series, I can't really tell you much about this book in particular, but the first book, The Guinevere Deception, is an Arthurian retelling. Not gonna lie to you guys, I can't quite remember what went on during that book and I don't really know how to describe it to you because I read it so long ago. I haven't read the 2nd book and I need to go back and reread the 1st book before even trying to read that one. So this is another trilogy that I do want to sit down and film a dedicated reading vlog for. I enjoyed the 1st book. I did have a few issues with it though. For those of you who don't know, King Arthur is first ever mentioned in a piece of Welsh literature dating back to the 12th century. So he is a Welsh figure. I do feel like I'm very protective over that fact because he's known as an English monarch, which isn't necessarily the case. The English did kind of latch onto this story and it was popularised more by them, but at its heart it is a Welsh story. So I think reading this and having read the original story as well, I just could see some things that I wasn't too happy with, but I do have to remind myself that this is a fantasy world, this is an American author, she is going to take creative liberty with the story, and so I think I just need to sit back, try not to focus on that too much and just have a good time reading these books. That's not to say as well that I don't enjoy Arthurian retellings. Merlin is one of my favourite ever TV shows. I'm obsessed with it. I watch it at least once a year right through and it's just a staple for me. I love it with my whole heart. So I don't say that I'm against any Arthurian retellings. There is another one that I can't remember the name of. I think it's called King Arthur with Jude Law in it as well, and I cannot remember the main character's name. I'm blanking. But that is another one of my favourite films. I absolutely love it, and it is also also an Arthurian retelling. So I don't have anything against that, I just am very protective over the story. But even though I read the first book so long ago, I enjoyed it enough to pick up the second book, and I wanted to complete my collection with the third book as well, so I have all the books in hardcover now and they look so good on my shelf. But once again, please do let me know if you would like to see a dedicated vlog of me reading these books, and if you would, please let me know if you would like them to be spoiler filled or spoiler free as well. Next up we have The Bone Shard Emperor by Andrea Stewart. This is the second book in the Bone Shard Daughter series, I'm gonna say. I don't know how many books are gonna be in this series, but this is the second, and unfortunately this is another instance where I haven't read the previous book, so I haven't even started off this fantasy series yet, but I've just heard so much praise for it and it does sound like my type of thing. So when I was in Manchester over Christmas, I saw this in Waterstones and just decided to pick it up. For those of you who don't know, UK hardcovers do tend to go out of print quite quickly. I've had so many instances where I've debated buying a book and I've put it off only for it to go out of print the next time I've gone to buy it. So I think that's my issue with a lot of hardcover books, is that I really do want to get my hands on them in case they do become unavailable in the future. So I did decide to get the second book. It's a chunky one, but it is a beautiful book. I absolutely love the cover. As I mentioned, the premise sounds amazing, so I just had to pick it up and I'm not even sorry for it. All I really know about this series is that it involves bone magic. That is literally all I know. I couldn't tell you what this book is about off the top of my head, and I'm also too lazy to grab the first book from up there somewhere, because if I try and get up now, I will not want to sit back down. So I will try and leave links for the Goodreads pages of the books that I don't really give too much of a synopsis for. So if you would like to check them out for yourselves and have a little read through, please do check the description box. On the back of this one though, I'm not going to read the synopsis because, as I said, I haven't read the first one, but it says the Bone Shard Daughter begins with a spark of intrigue that ignites into a thrilling adventure you cannot miss. Now that's all I really need to know about this one. I'm really intrigued by it. I cannot wait to read it, and I have 2 books in the series now, so if I wanted to, I could binge it. Next up, I have The Righteous by Renee Adier, and if you guys follow me on Twitter, you will know that I had a bit of a nightmare trying to get this book. So I had it pre-ordered months ago, and the edition that arrived wasn't this one. I think it was the American edition. It was a lot shorter, it had a different cover, and it really did stress me out because I wasn't sure if the one that I wanted was available to buy online. I did chance it though, and I went on Waterstones to place an order, and luckily the right edition came, and oh my gosh you guys, I have been waiting the longest time to read this. I cannot wait to dive back into this world. This is the third book in the Beautiful trilogy. I don't know if that's the right name for it, but the first book is called The Beautiful. Now essentially in The Beautiful we are set in 1800s New Orleans, which, can I just say, is the most atmospheric setting, and the writing in this book is just perfect. But we follow our main character Celine, who has recently moved to New Orleans and is staying at a kind of women's shelter, but one day she discovers a secret underground organisation and finds out that not all is as it seems. Soon after she gets there as well, she is seemingly targeted by a serial killer. A lot of deaths start to happen around her, and it is believed that Celine is meant to be the actual victim. I think that's all I'm going to say about that one. I feel like I'm not really describing it that well. I feel like I've described it so much better in the past, but honestly I'm starting to flag now, so I'm so sorry. But it is a paranormal murder mystery, and we do also get the perspective of the serial killer in this series as he goes about committing his crimes, which is very disturbing but really interesting, and it's done so well that you are actually terrified. So I would highly recommend this series. I don't know if this is the third book. I have a feeling that it is, but I will have to double check. I am all caught up with this series though. This is one that I do try and keep on top of because it is so anticipated for me every time a new book comes out, and I cannot wait to dive into this one. Hopefully it can be very soon, and I'm excited but also terrified. The next book I'm going to show you is The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. This is the second book in the A Deadly Education series by her, which again I haven't read the first book for, so I can't really tell you too much about. All I know is that in the first book we're set in a scholarmonth, and the students have to compete in some deadly trials to graduate by the end of the year. That's literally all I know, but it sucked me in straight away. I have since heard mixed reviews though. However, I do think that these books will have some elements that are definitely for me, and I'd like to just read them and experience the story for myself and come to my own conclusions. So that is why I bought the second book without reading the first one, as well as the fact that once again UK hardcovers do tend to go out of print quite quickly, and I did want to make sure that if I loved these books I had the second one to hand. Next up we have Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, and this This is a beautiful Waterstones exclusive edition that has blue sprayed edges and is signed by the author. I stumbled upon this by chance. It was again during my trip to Manchester, and I happened to pass the table and this was staring right at me, so I could not leave it there. Blue is my favourite colour, which is such a weakness for me because anytime I see a blue book I instantly want it. That's not the only reason I picked this up though. I did read The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune last year and I just fell in love with it. It's one of my favourite books. It's such a feel-good novel and it is described as being a middle grade book for adults, which is definitely the case. Absolutely loved it and was interested in reading more from the author, so when this came out I was immediately intrigued. For this one it says, when a reaper comes to collect Wallace from his own sparsely attended funeral, Wallace is outraged, but he begins to suspect that she's right and he is in fact dead. Then when Hugo, owner of a most peculiar tea shop, promises to help him cross over, Wallace reluctantly accepts the truth. Yet even in death he refuses to abandon his life, even though he spent all of it working. But as Wallace drinks tea with Hugo and talks to his customers, he wonders if he'd been missing something. The feeling grows as he shares jokes with the resident ghosts, manifests embarrassing footwear, and notices the stars. So when he's given 1 week to pass through the door to the other side, Wallace sets about living a lifetime in just 7 days. The synopsis of this reminds me of the Pixar film Soul, and that instantly had me hooked because I really enjoyed that film, and if this gives me those types of vibes then I will definitely be extremely happy. I'm also hoping that the writing style is the same in this book as his previous one because, as I mentioned, I loved it. It was easy to read, it was quite fast paced as well, which is very handy, and all in all I just think that this is one I'm going to really enjoy, and maybe I'll watch the film Soul after reading this to see how similar they are as well. And then the last fantasy book that I have to show you guys, I know, I'm sorry this has taken a while, but we have The Year of the Reaper by Makia Lucia. This was actually a fairy loot book, so I will have my unboxing linked up above and down below for you guys if you want to check it out, but it is an exclusive cover. It has black sprayed edges and a load of other details as well. Cannot tell you a single thing about this one though because I have forgotten the synopsis, but it is a YA fantasy and it says, 3 years ago Lord Cassier disappeared in the midst of war on a mission entrusted to him by the king. Since then a devastating plague has swept the land, leaving countless dead and the kingdom forever altered. Having survived a rotting prison cell and a merciless illness, Cass, now 18, wants only to return to his home in the mountains and forget his past horrors. But home is not what he remembers. His castle has become a refuge for the royal court, and they have brought their enemies with them. When an assassin targets those closest to the queen, Cass is drawn into a search for a killer, one that leads him to form an unexpected bond with a brilliant young historian named Lena. Cass and Lena soon realise that who is behind the attacks is far less important than why. They must look to the past, following the trail of a terrible secret, one that could threaten the kingdom's newfound peace and plunge it back into war. I do think that Ro from Wandering Through Worlds gave it a lower rating though, so I am a bit apprehensive about diving into this one. I've not been too keen on the fairy loot books recently, at least the young adult ones. I have signed up to the adult subscription box, which I'm really hoping will be a lot more to my taste. So we'll see if I enjoy this one or not. It's not one that I'm immediately drawn to picking up, but hopefully I can get to it at some point this year. Right, I am going to try and speed up a little bit because I've been filming for a while and I'm definitely flagging. So moving on to my murder mystery books. The first one I have to show you is The Maid by Nita Prose. This is one I've been seeing absolutely everywhere recently. I feel like it's so hyped and I just had to jump on it, guys, and get myself a copy. This was either £5 or £8 in Asda. I can't quite remember. I think it was £8, but that's the cheapest I'd ever seen it, so I decided to pick it up when I saw it there, and I really cannot wait to read this. I know I say that about the majority of these books, but because of the hype, because it's a murder mystery, I'm so intrigued and I want to find out what it is about. Also, look how cool the end pages are. It's a hotel, which is insane. But here it says, Molly the maid is all alone in the world, a nobody. She's used to being invisible in her job at the Regency Grand Hotel, plumping pillows and wiping away the grime, dust and secrets of the guests passing through. She's just a maid. Why should anyone take notice? But Molly is thrown into the spotlight when she discovers an infamous guest, Mr. Black, very dead in his bed. This isn't a mess that can be easily cleaned up, and as Molly becomes embroiled in the hunt for the truth, following the clues whispering in the hallways, she discovers a power she never knew was there. She's just a maid, but what can she see that others overlook? And then it does just say here, escapist, charming, and introducing a truly original heroine, The Maid is a story about how the truth isn't always black and white. It's found in the dirtier, grey areas in between. I don't have much more to say about this, guys. It sounds exactly like my type of thing. I have been slumping really hard this year as well. I've only just finished my second book of the year today, and it is the 9th of February, and I feel like this is the kind of book that will give me back my reading mojo, so definitely hoping that's the case. And if I'm still feeling slumpy by the end of this month, this is getting read. The next two books I have to show you are The Murder on the Links and Poirot Investigates, both by Agatha Christie. Now, I mentioned Agatha Christie earlier. These two books are part of her Poirot detective novels, and these are books 2 and 3. So I have the first one, which is The Mysterious Affair at Styles, and I also have the fourth one, which is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd. So I can dive into these books as soon as I finish reading the Miss Marple mysteries, and I'm so happy that I found these books together as well, because as I mentioned previously, I am collecting Agatha Christie's books. I'm collecting them in these stunning editions. They have the little Poirot moustache on the top of the spines, which is just a detail that I absolutely love. And every time I go into Waterstones or place an online order at Waterstones, I do check to see if they have some of these books in stock, because I like building my collection, and Waterstones is the only place that I buy these from because I know that they have the right editions. So that is why I bought these two. Cannot wait to get to them. They are both murder mystery stories featuring Detective Hercule Poirot, and they are such fast-paced, complex murder mysteries that just blow your mind. So I am very happy to own these now. Next up, along the same vein as the other two, we have The Mystery of the Three Quarters by Sophie Hannah. This is a new Hercule Poirot mystery, which is obviously not written by Agatha Christie. So I believe that Sophie Hannah has taken it upon herself to release more Poirot mysteries, which I'm not complaining about. I do already own the Killings at Kingfisher Hill. I can see it on my shelf there, and these do also have the same design on the spine, which I love because they match the editions that I'm collecting. This has this bit of paper stuck in it though, because this was very kindly sent to me by Emily over at Emily Kathleen Reads, and it does just say, I hope you like this Poirot continuation. Not quite the classic Agassi we all know and love, but it's still a very, very good mystery. Let me know if you solve it. If you guys don't know, Emily and I are Agassi obsessed. That is what we call her. The queen herself has a nickname, but we are both essentially Agatha Christie lovers. We love her stories, and Emily did have a spare copy of this and asked if I wanted, so she did very kindly send it my way, and I'm so thankful. So again, thank you so much, Emily. I cannot wait to get to this one, and of course I'll solve it. Who do you think I am? Next up is a book that I kind of stumbled upon. I've never seen this book before or heard about it, but it is Death in the Stars by Frances Brodie. This is a Kate Shackleton mystery, and I think that there are 13 books out in this series so far from what I could see, but I feel like this is a case of you don't have to read them in order, but if you want to, you can see how the character develops and all that. But I bought this one again because it was £2 and I can't resist a deal. But here it says, a theatre party, a dead body discovered, an elusive killer. Yorkshire 1927, eclipse fever grips the nation, and when beloved theatre star Selina Fellini approaches trusted sleuth Kate Shackleton to accompany her to a viewing party at Giggleswick School Chapel, Kate suspects an ulterior motive. During the eclipse, Selina's friend and co-star Billy Moffat disappears and is later found dead in the chapel grounds. Kate can't help but dig deeper and soon learns that 2 other members of the theatre troupe died in similarly mysterious circumstances in the past year. Kate sets about investigating the deaths and whether there is a murderer in the company. When Selina's husband Jared, injured in the war and subject to violent mood swings, comes back on the scene, Kate begins to imagine something far deadlier at play and wonders just who will be the next to pay the ultimate price for fame. So again, this sounds like my type of thing, a classic murder mystery story, and I cannot wait to dive into it. Next up we have another Fairy Loot book. This is an extra book that came in one of the boxes, and this is a paranormal murder mystery type of book. So our main character Elise is cursed, and every time she touches someone she experiences how they will die. She then meets Claire, who is a vampire tasked with helping Elise master her rare powers, and Claire also wants to recruit Elise to join the Veil, which is a secret organisation determined to protect the paranormal world at all costs. And it says, at first Elise is reluctant to work with a vampire, but when she predicts the teacher's imminent murder, she is determined to stop the violent death. As Elise and Claire grow closer, Elise begins to wonder, can she really trust someone tasked with securing her loyalty? Someone who could so easily kill her? Someone who might hold the key to unravelling her brother's mysterious death? This is from the author of These Witches Don't Burn as well, if anyone's interested. That is one that I haven't read, so I can't tell you anything about it. Not sure when I'll get to this one either. It doesn't really sound like my type of thing, but please do let me know if you think I'd enjoy it. I think this is one that I'll pick up more towards October time if I still have it and want to read it by then, because it is more of a paranormal mystery, so I think I'm gonna save it till then, but if I see or hear bad reviews about it, then I will probably unhaul it. The next book I have is Her Husband's Grave by P.L. Klein. This is an adult thriller. This is another one that was £2. As you can see, I was on a £2 deal kick in January. I went through the deals available and I did buy a few books. For this one, it says, a hint of gold glistened in the sand. It was a watch, no doubt about it. A watch attached to a body. Criminal psychologist Robin Adams is at breaking point after a previous case resulted in an attempt on her own life. But in the car about to head home, her phone rings. It's Robin's estranged cousin, Vicky Carter. Vicky's husband Simon has been found buried on Golden Sands Beach. Desperate to help, Robin returns to the coastal village of their childhood. Robin knows that she's failed Vicky in the past and is set on making amends. Throwing herself into the case, she's intent on helping the police. But there is clearly someone who wants Robin gone. She is convinced someone is watching her, and when she begins receiving threatening notes, Robin knows she could be risking her life. But Robin won't leave again. She owes it to Vicky to stay. So it sounds like your typical adult thriller, and I can't wait to get to it. As I keep mentioning, these are very fast paced, and I feel like if I'm ever in a reading slump or want something quick to pick up, I can always choose one of these. And then the last book in this category is another £2 adult thriller, and that is The Vacancy by Elizabeth Carpenter. For this one, it says, running from her past, Rachel answers an advert to be a live-in assistant to glamorous and eccentric author Dorothy Winters. When Dorothy's manuscript throws up striking similarities to events in Rachel's own life, she becomes convinced that the past she's tried to hide is catching up with her. Then the phone call starts, the parcel arrives, and Dorothy's friend disappears. Terrified of being blamed for murder, Rachel has nobody left to turn to, because who can she believe when she doesn't even trust herself? Again, sounds like your classic adult thriller. Don't know when I'll get to this one, but I have it now, and I will probably give it to my mum to read first because she does love adult thrillers. It's her type of thing, and if she loves it, I will make it more of a priority. If not, it will be put on the back burner. I do just want to apologise for reading out the synopsis for so many of those books, but I feel like with murder mysteries, it's so hard to give a synopsis without really spoiling anything, so I tend to just stick with what's written on the book itself. Hopefully that's okay, but I know some people get irritated by people reading the synopses, so I just wanted to clarify that. It's hard for me to describe a book when I know nothing about it, especially when it is a murder mystery thriller book. But we have made it to the last pile, and you'll be pleased to know that we only have 3 books left to talk about. The first book we have is The Day I Fell Into a Fairy Tale by Ben Miller. This is again a Waterstones exclusive edition, and this was only £6 I believe. I placed an order before Christmas and I wanted to get up my Waterstones points, so I threw this one in there, and I didn't realise it was so cheap, which is crazy to me because it's a hardcover, it's an exclusive edition, and I believe that it's signed as well. Let me just check. Oh no, I don't think it is, but this is stunning, and it also sounds really good as well. So this is a middle grade book in which we follow Lana, and I believe that Lana can somehow transport herself into fairy tale worlds that we know and love. However, when she starts doing this, she realises that not all fairy tales are safe places to live. Some of the lands are in danger, and it's up to her to try and save them. And then it just says here, it's a magical adventure about the power of stories and an important reminder that you're never too old to believe in fairy tales. I love my fairy tales, I love my Disney stories as well, so I just thought this would be a really nice book to have, and it will definitely be a pick-me-up when I need it. Next up is one that I'm really excited about but is super reflective, so I'm sorry about that. This one is Daughter of the Deep by Rick Riordan, and I'm really excited about this one because this is an underwater adventure type of novel, which, if you don't know, I love books that take place at sea. I don't know why, but it really does intrigue me, and Rick Riordan is a favourite author of mine. I love the Percy Jackson books, and I do also buy books from his imprint as well. I have a few from there that I've read and really enjoyed, so when I saw that this book was out, I had to pick up a copy. I will just read you the synopsis of this one. Again, I'm sorry, but I feel like it's the best way for me to get across the story to you. So it says, Anna Dakar is a student at Harding Pencroft Academy, a school that trains the best underwater explorers in the world. Generations of Dakars have attended HP, and Anna hopes she has what it takes to succeed. Her worries are blown out of the water though when she witnesses a tragedy that will change her life, because it turns out Harding Pencroft and its rival school, Land Institute, have been fighting a cold war for 150 years, and it's just turned hot. Pursued by enemies, Anna learns her family's ties with Harding Pencroft go deeper than she ever imagined. Back to her not-so-fictional ancestor, the legendary Captain Nemo. Land Institute will stop at nothing to acquire the secrets of Nemo's technological genius. Only Anna and her class of half-trained freshmen stand against them, and with her enemies seemingly always one step ahead, can Anna trust anyone but herself? And it says here, a thrillingly fast-paced adventure inspired by the Jules Verne classic 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. So I feel like this is going to be a really interesting and different book. I don't really see many fantasy books, whether they be middle grade, young adult or adult books, that take place under the sea, so I'm very excited to dive into this one. Really glad that I have it, and I just love the cover as well, which you can't quite see, but we do have an octopus on there holding a submarine. And we've done it, you guys. We have finally made it to the last book, which isn't really a middle grade book, but I didn't have anywhere else I could place this one. But here we have Walt Disney's Mickey Mouse, The Ultimate History, which is such a cool book. It has this little flap to protect the pages of the book, which I really do love, and it's essentially what it says on the tin. This is a book full about facts and the history of Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney. I actually bought this at Costco, which I do have a vlog for, so if you're interested in seeing that, I will have it linked up above and down below once again. But this just includes stunning illustrations and facts. As I mentioned, it has cartoon strips, photos, old posters, just all sorts of things about the Walt Disney Company and Mickey Mouse. Oh my gosh, I love this one. Look how cute this is, you guys. And as I mentioned previously, I'm a massive Disney lover. Disney is my life, and Tom and I are planning to go to Walt Disney World soon. We're just looking at all of our finances to see if it's possible, because we are looking at buying houses at the minute, so we're not too sure. But when I saw this in Costco, I had to pick it up. Probably won't read the whole thing in one go because it's massive and it will probably be too dense for me, but I have it now and I cannot wait to flick through and have a good look at it. But that is it for today's book haul, guys. We finally made it. I am desperate for a cup of tea right now, so I won't keep this outro too long. Please do let me know though if you've read any of these books, and if you have, do let me know your thoughts. I always love chatting to you guys and seeing different opinions on books. Also, if you have made it this far into the video and would like to let me know that you're still here, please do leave me some sea emojis down below. I will have them listed in the description box as well if you just want to copy and paste them. But seeing you guys comment the emoji of the video truly does make my day, so please do that if you're still here. As well as that, please don't forget to click the like button if you liked this video and the subscribe button if you'd like to see more content from me. Thank you guys so much for watching. It truly does mean the world to me, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!